Hey, IzzyIz here, and here to present to you Transgenders, and try my very best to give you an explanation as to who they exactly are. So I think if we were to start this conversation, I think we should start at a very bare minimum reality point, which is that in this world, we come with two things. We come with our body, our arms, our legs, our genitalia, our face, and our hair or lack thereof. We come with these physical things that make up our body. And then we have our consciousness, our worldview, our view into the world, and our perception of it. These two, while embodying the same body, are two different things. Your consciousness is different from your arm. Your consciousness is different from your dick. Your consciousness is different than your pussy. Your consciousness is your subjective perception of the world itself. Okay. So let me have this little line into sex and gender. Sex is composed of two parts, typically. There is your genotypic sex, which is the representation, not the representation, it is your chromosomes. And your chromosomes are in every single cell of your body. X's and Y's kind of trying to align with one another in different variations, and typically they find one, and typically they copy and paste throughout your entire body. But that doesn't always happen the way that we think it should happen, which brings us to our phenotypic sex. How your body expresses and presents the chromosomes. And typically what this means is with XX chromosomes, typically we see a more wider hips. We see tits. We typically see a rounder face. But just because the XX chromosomes are there does not mean it 100% of the time has to align with the way the body presents that chromosome. So, a cis man could go his entire life, thinking that he has XY chromosomes. And a cis woman could go through her entire life thinking that she has XX chromosomes. But when they actually get their chromosomes checked out, they can be swapped. They could be something they weren't expecting to come. A cis woman could have XY chromosomes, and a cis man could have XX chromosomes. So to say or try to imply that it's just male or female is just not correct. Because there are these things that are in between. And I would not say that these outliers are to be ignored, to pretend they don't exist, to be discredited, or to be made to be anything other than a part of the human experience, and should apply to what we research into and how we view the world and understanding of how the human body works. To deny these things and to not want to look into them more makes little to no sense to me, if I'm being quite honest with you. But besides that. That is our body. Now, remember earlier, there is a difference between your body and your consciousness. So what do we think gender exactly is? It is our subjective perception of our sex. And societies, cultures come together with their subjective perceptions of their own sexes to come together to formulate gendered roles to what we would typically associate with one of the sexes, what we think they should wear, what we think they should act like, what we think they should look like, and what we think they should be. But that is what everyone, a majority's subjective perception of it is. That is not a hard set rule as to this is how you should be. This is how everyone else's subjective perception made up. That does not stop individuals from having subjective perceptions that deter from that. And to sit here and tell me, you need to follow my subjective perception of what your sex should be goes against everything gender is. Because gender comes down to the individual's perception of their sex and not yours. And I know this might be coming across defensive, but when people decide to not look at the biology of it, when people decide not to look into the research of it, it can get a bit maddening. But in my opinion, I think it is absolutely kind of bizarre and wild for someone to pop out the womb and for you to lay out fabric in front of them and tell them you need to wear this. You need to be like this. That's kind of deranged to me, if I'm being honest with you. I think, in my own interpretation of the world and what every major medical organization thinks, I believe it's true when I say that a subjective perception of one's sex can't be changed and cannot be forced out of them. So being transgender, is when your subjective perception of your sex doesn't align with the sex you have based off of the gendered things that we see in society, how we typically see one of the genders act like, what we typically see how genders express themselves. These are other people's ideas of what it means to be these things. And for us to perceive them and identify with them is completely natural. And it's up to the individual's point of view. I don't think it is necessarily insane to think this, because it's not like we're making the claim that we are the opposite sex exactly. We're saying we identify with the things that other people identify with that sex. I'm not claiming to be a female. A genotypic female, I will never claim to be that, because I know there's nothing I can do to change that. But my gender identity and everyone's ideas coming together to make a representation of what a woman is something that I identify with. And if that makes someone irate or upset or makes them inclined to try and prove me wrong about myself, that's a them problem, not a me problem. But yeah, no, that was just that was just the baseline of my understanding of what being transgender means. And a little bit of an irritation at those that try to act like it doesn't exist and try to act like it's not real and try to act like there's no research and just wave away the things they don't understand. But that is all for now, and I'm hoping on this channel to express myself, to express my ideas, and express what it means to be trans. Because I am a trans woman, and I am a woman. I hope that this video helped you understand a bit more why. Anyways, have a beautiful day. Bye.